What a great day this is to celebrate International Women's Day. My name is Beth Keck. I'm with the Rotary Club of Bentonville, and I'm very happy to be your MC today. You know, International Women's Day is celebrated around the world, and so we're really thrilled that we have this opportunity to also think about the advancement of girls and women, along with women in all parts of the globe that we live in. When you leave, we really hope that you are newly inspired about what is possible for you, because that's really what women's economic empowerment or women's empowerment's about. It's about finding what your passion is and then finding a pathway forward so that you can realize that and have a fulfilled and fulfilling life. So first, I'd like to introduce Kathy Waller. She's the Chief Financial Officer for the Coca-Cola Company. Our second panelist is Angie Warnock. Angie is from Kansas City, and she's the CEO and owner of a company called Vista Productions, which does the production and the behind the scenes for great events like this. Let's welcome Angie. We have our hometown woman, Karen Stuckey. Karen is the Senior Vice President for Private Brands for Walmart. And then from the far West Coast, we have Sarah Moshman. Sarah is the director of a movie called The Empowerment Project and other documentary films lifting up women and girls. And so we're very happy you can be with us, Sarah. And finally, from Chicago, Illinois, is Dana Cook. And Dana is the producer of the Empowerment Project. So we have two key leaders for a very interesting film. I think we're ready to begin. So now it's your turn. Angie, we're so happy to have you. Angie is usually behind the scenes of these types of events, and so we're really pleased that we got her out front. And the reason we really thought Angie would be a wonderful addition to our panel is because she comes from her career from a very different angle from Kathy. She graduated from high school, got married, had a couple of kids, and then went to work. And at one point, she told me she had like 3 jobs in fast food, working for an answering service. Also, she was managing the apartment complex where they lived, all at the same time. Wow. Because she wanted to make sure they could make ends meet with her family and support her family. So she was doing a big juggling job. And then somehow along the line, she had this interesting chance encounter with Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. And that made a difference in her life. And so, Angie, please tell us about this journey that you've been on and how you became the CEO of Vista.
Thank you very much for inviting me and pushing me out of my comfort zone. I am not a speaker. So, however, I am a perfect example of an empowered woman who was empowered by Walmart. Like Beth said, I was a young mother. I was working 3 jobs. I luckily had a friend who was a department manager at Walmart, and she said, "Come here. We have an opening for a temporary cashier position."
This was holiday season.
Right. It was before Halloween, like right before Halloween. Extremely busy. Little temporary position. Come in, see if you like it. I think you'll like it as much as I do. And she loved it. And she was a department manager and in sporting goods, which was different for women at that time also. And I thought, well, why not? I'll try it. So I went, I applied for the job. I started the next day as a temporary part-time associate. Within 3 days, I was full-time. And within just shortly after that, Sam came in, and he was interviewing everyone who was a new associate at Walmart at that particular store. Came through, pulled me off the checkout line, said, "Hey, I just want to chat with you about your experience and, how was your training? How could we do it better?" Because it's very important for us to retain good associates. So what do we need to do better? And we chatted about the experience of training, and he said, "Well, so what are your career goals for Walmart?" Well, I'd never thought of that as a career. Now, I thought, well, I'm a temporary cashier. Not exactly career material. And he said, "Well, I think you should think about a business career." And I started talking to him about the fact that college did not seem like an option to me at that point. And he said, college is not always the best thing for everyone. And you do not have to have college. Think of this job right inside these walls as being your free business education, paid business education. Learn everything you can learn about how the store operates, the different positions that are available, and take every opportunity that comes your way. And I did. And within 6 months, I had been in receiving, I've been merchandising, I've been invoicing, service desk, all of those positions, and then a loss prevention position came available. And someone came to me and said, hey, we think you need to apply for this position. I applied, I got that position. Within a couple more months, I was dealing with internal and external theft. I was testifying in court, which I was better at than I am at this.
You're doing great.
I was doing procedural reviews and inventories and had a lot of responsibility that a year before I never would have imagined.
And you were
having.
installing equipment, too.
And I was installing, yes,
Yeah.
installing security cameras and repairing security cameras. And shortly after that, well, within the year, I had the opportunity to be part of the shows and events crew for Sam's Club for their twice-a-year meeting that they had at that time had in Memphis. And it was during one of those meetings, I'm there, I'm trying to figure out what my position is there. And somebody says, we need someone who can drive a 15-passenger van. I was like, nobody raised their hand. I was like, I can do that. So I got the position of picking up people at the airport, taking someone to the hospital if they need to go to the hospital. That position led to, I think the next meeting that I was at, Sam flew in his plane by himself. I had to go pick him up at the airport. So I picked him up, and he got in the front seat with me and started asking me about my store and asking me about the profit of my store, the sales of my store. And I knew those figures.
Nice.
And I'm talking to him, and he said, wait a minute. I know you, but not in this context. And then he said, I remember exactly. He said, I'm glad we were able to keep you. And so that was a huge moment for me. Mm-hmm. And it obviously still is. One thing I would like to touch on is, especially for the younger people in the audience who are going into a first-time job, be it fast food or retail, anything else, that is an education. It is an education. Do not look at it like it is just a job. Go into it with the idea of this is a learning experience, and I'm going to carry these experiences with me the rest of my life, and wherever I am now, maybe my career. You could be CEO of McDonald's. Right. That is possible, and the best place to get the start at that is actually learning how that one individual store operates. How do they make a profit? How do they keep people? How do they manage the inventory that's coming in and make sure they're not buying too much, they're not buying too little? Those are all things with business that's going to carry forward no matter what business you're in. You're going to learn those simple elements of business. College is fantastic. Go if you have the opportunity, definitely. Just suck up all of the education you can, any way you can get it. And take risks. Go out, whatever interests you, attack it, and make it yours.
And I would say one of the big takeaways for us in this journey, in this wild ride of career and of life, is just the power in saying yes to something before you feel ready. And I think, as we go embark on a journey and try out new things. We feel like we have to be very prepared and have the experience before we say yes to something, but there is so much value and so much power in saying yes to something and to being curious and to putting yourself in a situation before you feel completely prepared, because that's the growth, and there is no way to fail. Failing is not trying. Failing is not putting yourself in that situation and that experience. So following that dream and being curious is what's going to lead you to a passion, which is hopefully going to turn into a career and turn into your art. So encouraging you to be curious and challenging the world. And I think our Vice Admiral, or Admiral, Michelle Howard, said it best. She said, at the end of your life, we all end up in a rocking chair on a porch somewhere with a blanket over our laps. And in that moment, if you can ask yourself, do I have any regrets? Have I done right by people? Have I treated people with respect? If your answer is, I've done all of those things, then you've led a very good life.